Hi guys, I'm Laura Vitale. On this episode of Laura in the Kitchen, I want to show you how to make some pecan pie cookies. I mentioned a little while ago on Twitter that I was craving them and I really wanted to make them, but I don't make them often because if you know me, if you've been with me for a while, you know I'm absolutely obsessed and addicted to pecan pie, which is why I only make it about once a year. So if I make pecan pie cookies, I have a whole tray of them and I will eat quite a few of them, but I am going to share these with friends and family, so it's fine. But a lot of you, all of you asked if I could share the recipe with you, so I figured I would. It's basically like pecan pie in a thin cookie form, and they're so ridiculously good. You're gonna love it. Let me run you through the list of ingredients, just kind of your standard ingredients for pecan pie. Pecans, obviously, granulated sugar and brown sugar. This is some maple syrup. You can use corn syrup if you want to, but maple syrup I find that works just as well. I've got some unsalted butter that's been melted, some cornstarch and salt, eggs, vanilla extract, and then for the base, you're gonna need some unsalted butter, flour, sugar, and salt. That's simple. Now I've got my oven preheated to 375. What I have here is like a medium-sized baking sheet. This is an 11 by 15. Technically, I think it's like a 10.5 by 15. You don't want to use a big baking sheet because you're not going to have enough batter, enough dough for the big one. So I find that this size works perfectly for this recipe. So you can do a 9 by 13 if you want to. You're going to have thicker cookies, kind of like bars, and they're going to take a little bit longer to cook. But who cares? They'll be delicious. Use what you got. That's my motto, hey? In my bowl, I've got my flour, my sugar, and my salt. This is going to be for the base. Give that a little stir. And I'm going to add my butter. You want your butter to be softened to room temperature, or you can pop it in the microwave like I have to soften it and then borderline melt it. But you know, it's delicious. Melted butter, delicious. I'm just going to mix it with my spatula. Just take your time and just mix it until you can pinch it with your fingers and it kind of comes together. This is what you want it to look like. Now, it may look like, hey, oh, there's not enough dough there to fill that baking sheet, but there is. You want a really thin layer of it. You don't want too thick of a layer, otherwise your cookie are going to turn into bars. Again, nothing wrong with that, matter of preference. I want these to be thin and chewy and delicious and amazing, so that's why I prefer to use this size baking sheet. So just pop that on there like so, and since the dough is just a little bit sticky, what I like to do is just to have some flour on hand, because should the dough stick to my hands when I try to flatten it, I can just dip my fingers into some flour and see, it gives me no problem at all. Just take your time and get this into one even layer. All right, this looks great. You just have to have patience and it comes out perfect every time. I'm going to pop this into my oven at 375 for about 10 to 12 minutes, and in the meantime, we'll just put together the filling so it's all going to come together at the same time, and then we'll pop it back in the oven and proceed. But for now, I'm just going to pop this in. All right, and then for the filling, you just pretty much add everything in a bowl. I'm just using the same bowl I made my crust in because why not? Less things to clean. Awesome. It's just going to be fantastic. Now, for the maple syrup, I always have a lot of maple syrup on hand, and I find that it works really well in this particular recipe. I can't guarantee that it will work just as well in a pie form because, you know, pecan pie is like thicker, it's more gooey, you taste more of the filling at once, if that makes any sense. But it is more expensive to use maple syrup, especially when you're using good maple syrup. So the choice is yours. Either one will do. Got that. I've got my cornstarch and salt. Salt, whoa. Got baking. I got cornstarch all over me, but that's okay. Salt is really important in baking, so do not leave it out because remember, it's a flavor enhancer, so it's just going to make everything pop, kind of how it does in savory dishes. And then just a small splash of vanilla. And then just, oh, look at all those vanilla beans. And then just mix it with your wooden spoon to combine, and then I'm going to set it aside until my crust is ready. Wonderful. Okay, I've got my par-baked crust. I'm actually just going to pop this on here so it's nice and even. And I am just, you can see it's nice and lovely and light and golden. It's not fully done yet, but we don't need it to be. And now I am just gonna pour this gloriousness over the top. And I'm gonna spread it nice and thin with my spatula. Try to get it as even as possible. Just move things around if you have to. You can just see that, just tilt it. And now this is gonna go back into the oven, same temperature, 375, about 25 to 30 minutes. The edges should be really dark golden brown and crispy. Then what you're gonna do, once they come out, you're gonna let them sit for 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, you can cut them and you can let them cool completely on wire racks. So it's easy, it's simple. I'll show you what they look like when they are there. I cannot wait to eat this. I'm so excited. So I'm just gonna pop them in and I'll show you what they look like when they're done. Yum! All right, so these baked for about 30 minutes. I left them in for a few more minutes after 25 minutes. Then I let them cool for 25 minutes, slice them, cut them into little squares, and then put them on wire racks to cool completely. You want these to cool completely, otherwise they're soft. And I will say that like the center of the cookie, you know, the center of the baking sheet is a little more gooey and soft, which is my personal favorite, but the edges end up being really nice and crispy, so you kind of have the best of both worlds. To me, these are the perfect hybrid between a bar and a cookie. You see that? They're not thick enough to be a bar to me, and what I mean by that is when I want like a chewy bar, it has to be thicker, has to have more filling, so this is kind of like the perfect hybrid between the two. And if you love anything pecan pie, then you'll love these and you should make them this weekend. So go to laurainthekitchen.com to get the written recipe. I'm telling you, you will love them. And if you want to, when you pull them out of the oven, hit them with some mini chocolate chips, and as they cool, the chocolate chips will start to melt so that you have a little bit of chocolate with your cookies if you want to. I did that a little, maybe a couple weeks ago or so. I posted it on Instagram because I was feeling like having some chocolate, but the choice is yours. Go to laurainthekitchen.com to get the recipe. I hope you enjoy spending time with me. I'll see you next time. Bye.